Welcome to FP Executive. I'm here today with Paul McCullough, the lead for public safety from IBM Canada. Paul, thank you for joining us today.
Pleasure to be here.
Public safety has been an issue high in people's minds for decades. People always look to their police, and at one time it was the cop on the beat, and now it's the cruiser sort of patrolling and police officers on bicycles. But there's been some developments in the recent past where we've been able to use technology in a very smart way and apply analytics to policing. This is one of the areas that I know that you're very much involved in. Could you tell us a little bit about how you've seen policing change over the years by using data?
Sure. I think that police have recognized that they, often after the fact, they had the information to either prevent a crime or to accelerate the investigation. I think part of the frustration has been the inability to extract, if you will, to take that mountain of straw and get the needle from the inside. So we're seeing some advanced tools these days that allow you to render all that extraneous information, get down to that intelligence that you're looking for to support.
Interesting. I understand that the Edmonton Police Service, they've been doing a lot of work recently. They even have a business performance officer, I believe, on staff now,
Yep.
who uses data, and it helps them to try and, for example, track areas where crime is occurring and put the resources there before the crime occurs. So it's almost like predicting where the problems will be. Is that something that you've seen in your work?
Absolutely. And Edmonton's a brilliant example in Canada of first of all, being aware of the situation, having virtually real-time feedback in terms of where crime is occurring, then looking at the trends, looking at, in a predictive standpoint, what might be going on. So an example of that might be if you see a concentration of car thefts in a particular area, you'd like to know that quickly, and you'd like to respond by having police resource there in that area. In some cases, either to capture it in the act or alternatively, just their mere presence can prevent crime.
Interesting. Is it one of the interesting scenarios that occurred in Toronto not too long ago was the G20. And I think in people's minds, they've seen in the newspapers and on TV how images are being used to try and help identify folks. Now, that's just sort of old-style technology. Do you know this person? But I believe there's technology now that's being used that helps police forces share information and identify potential suspects. Have you seen that type of information technology growing in recent years?
Certainly have, and I think I'd like to pick off what you were saying first of all about quite frankly, the difficulty in taking video feeds and extracting information from that, because that becomes part of the information you'd like to have shared with other and exploit for other purposes. I think part of the challenges, and from a G20 kind of a standpoint, there could be tens of thousands of hours of video, and how do you know what it is that you're looking for? So there's some interesting technologies that allow you to go through those hours and hours of video and find what it is that you're looking through some very sophisticated matching kind of algorithms.
So what you're suggesting is rather than having a person have to sit there and put on all those hours, there's actually technologies available now to become sort of the eyes of the police to figure out what they need to see?
Precisely. So triggered on particular kind of events. And then you can focus then on what you're looking for rather than again, having to sit there in a very resource-intensive fashion and sift through hours and hours and hours of video. But then the second point that you were raising, John, related to the sharing of information across police services, and I think that's we're seeing an awful lot more sort of will on the part of the police to do that, and certainly a lot more tools that can facilitate the sharing of information to support both investigations and prevent.
How challenging is that integration? Because it's one of the interesting things that outside of the police forces, for example, just within some businesses, trying to get two different silos to talk together, have systems that communicate. It strikes me as an incredible challenge, but it's one that I think is in people's minds because we've heard of different police forces who've had information but haven't shared it, and as a result, there's been problems.
Yeah. And first of all, I'd say in defense of the police, it's easy after the fact sometimes to reconstruct that they had it but they couldn't get at it. But that having been said, we're starting to see an awful lot more application of analytic tools that can help point in the right direction, that can bring together those pieces of information that should find each other, and through that build a more sort of complete dossier, if you will, of what might constitute a threat. So yeah, we're seeing an awful lot more evidence of police using some of these much more advanced technologies.
Interesting. This is a fascinating topic, Paul. Let's come back in our second part and talk more about this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.